Today I'd like to talk to you about improvisational piecing. This is really fun quilting where you get to sometimes throw out the ruler and just cut your pieces in a curvy, slightly curvy fashion, and they magically fit together really well. Some people do improvisational piecing with fairly straight lines. This is Gwen Marston. She uses bold, minimalist designs and they're really effective. And these quilts here are by Christine Barnes. She uses colors really effectively too, and she likes to use a little sliver of black and white fabric just to create a pop in her works. Another thing that Christine Barnes does is she uses these gray ombres or gradations, and it really sets off her color. These quilts here are by Cindy Grisdella, and she is a master at quilting improv. This one is a bit more complicated, but it's really beautiful. You can also do very, very simple projects like this one. Just set them off. Here is one that I did using the improv as my background, and then I screen printed leaves and little flecks on it with paint. So I'd like to show you a little bit about how to piece these curved pieces together. And I just want to give you a little lesson on how to do that. So let's get started. All right, so if you want to do improvisational piecing, you can do straight lines or curved lines. Now, I know you already know how to take a ruler and cut a straight line, so I'm not going to explain that part to you. I'm going to show you today how to do a curved line piecing. So I have two pieces of fabric here. The colors blend together really well, but they're different textures. This one's more plain with larger areas of color, and this is a striped batik. So I'm going to lay one over the other one by about 1 inch. And I'm going to take my rotary cutter and start at one end, and I'm going to do a slightly curving line. Not a whole lot, not super wiggly, but just slightly curving. And I'll go out here, and then I'll go this way a little bit and end up in there. Now, I could tell there were little bumps along the way, so I actually probably need to change my rotary blade because, right, it didn't cut through quite all the way. And it's time to change that rotary blade. But now you can see how these fit together really, really well. Okay, and you're thinking, okay, but when I piece that, how am I going to do that 1/4 inch seam? Well, I will take you over to the machine and I will show you how to do that. All right, so you can see that we have these two pieces of fabric. They're right sides up, okay, and they match exactly. So what I'm going to do is flip this one over this one. So I'm going to flip that over like that, and you can see they do not match up correctly at all here. But I know that the top starts right there and the bottom ends right over there. So we're going to match up the beginnings and put that under your presser foot. And I'm going to get you a little closer here so you can see better. Okay, so with one hand, I am going to be holding this top piece of fabric, and with the other hand, I'm going to hold the bottom. Okay, so I'm starting out, I'm holding my thread so it doesn't get bunched up in there. So we go a little bit, and you can see that this top one is going to need to move just a little bit to the left pretty soon to match up. So I'm going to stop, lift my presser foot, and I use a knee lift. So this is my knee lift, and I put it into my machine and I press it over and lift the presser foot with my knee. I am using my left foot on the pedal. Okay, so lift that presser foot and move the top fabric over just a little bit so the raw edges align. And go a little bit farther. And then lift, align. Now you're going to have to go back a little bit. And back a little bit more. You're not pulling on either piece of fabric. You're just guiding it a little bit. So you're sliding the bottom one over to the left, sliding the top one over to the right, and you just keep going, making sure that your edges are exactly aligned. Make sure that you don't make any pleats. You're not pleating the fabric, you're just easing it. Okay? And there you go. Now, let's see how it looks. Okay? I'm going to take that over to the iron and I'm going to press one seam. I'll probably press it this way. I'm going to press that seam over toward the stripes and then I will let you see how well it lays flat. Okay, so look how well this is laying down. There's a nice curved line there, but it just lays down flat, and this is what it looks like on the back side. Okay, so we're going to do one more. This one is a batik stripe. This one is fairly plain, has color blocks on it. And then here is a batik with some leaf designs. The colors all blend really well, so this is going to be a nice flow. So we'll do the same thing again. We're overlapping by about 1 inch. Okay. And I'm going to start down here. I have a new blade in this time, so we hope it works a little better. I'm going to go in first and then out a little bit. And let's see. That one felt pretty good. Yeah, it cut. It just sliced through really, really well. And look how well those lines go together. I'm going to piece that together again, and I will let you see how that looks when I'm done. I've got the other seam sewn, and I have pressed it exactly the same way. I had the two seams go the same direction. Okay, and they are laying very flat. Now, if you do a whole row of these curved piecing strips, and you start seeing that they are not quite lining up vertically. In other words, if the next row goes a little bit like this, and then the next row goes a little bit like that, and you start getting, if you start seeing it lean, you're going to need to fix that. You're going to need to, you don't necessarily need to take out the whole thing, but you might find a place where you could just take the seam in a little bit more at one spot to make it lay down really flat and to make it seem basically vertical. Another thing you can do is to take these pieced pieces of fabric, and you can slice them and you can incorporate them into another square of a different color. So you can do maybe 5 pieces and maybe a little smaller, and then slice them up and incorporate them into some of your other blocks that you're going to do. The blocks can be square or they can be wonky. So I want you to look at this particular quilt. This is by Cindy Grisdella. She is a master at improvisational piecing. She does really wonderful, colorful quilts. And a lot of her slices are not very curved. She doesn't curve a whole lot. But they are also, you can tell they are not sliced by using a ruler. The blocks themselves are exactly square for the most part. Not always. You can see here, this goes down. It's a little wonky on purpose. So I'm not sure at all that she even uses a ruler. But what I want to show you is that when you look at her work, you can see that it's divided into blocks. Now, they're not all the same size blocks, so you might start with this one. Here is a block, and you can see right here, this is the block. This is the border. There's another block within that, and there's another one in here. So if you want to look and kind of look at how she pieced it together, you can see the segments. Here, she has a big long seam running to here. It doesn't continue across here. So this was pieced later. Okay, these 3 blocks were probably pieced, 1, 2, 3, and then put in a row. This set here was pieced together and attached to this block here. So just study her blocks a little bit. If you want to do something this complicated, just take a look at the work and see if you can figure out how she constructed it. It's pretty obvious. You can just take a marker. I just did a screenshot of one of her quilts, and then I printed it out on my printer, and I'm just showing you with my marker all the different segments that she used to put it all together. There you have it. It's all put together. Here's another section. Here's another little section. Okay? You can design, you can pre-design your blocks that way and kind of have an idea of how you want to make it. Or you can just totally start with a little block, make a bunch of little blocks that are relatively the same size, and just improvise as you go along. And there you go. So have fun with your improvisational piecing. If you'd like to see some more ideas for improvisational quilts, go to Pinterest and look for my Pinterest account, which is Artful Quilting and Sewing. And when you go to that account, find my board that is titled Simple Improv Quilts. I've gathered a whole collection from a lot of different quilters, and you can get some ideas there. Have fun improv quilting.